Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrina and I live in the Pacific Northwest with my partner, our two kitties, and my two adopted Mustangs, Bragi and Odin. They were adopted from the Bureau of Land Management Wild Horse Adoption Program, and I will put some links to that in the show notes if you'd like more information. We live in the Pacific Northwest. It has been a very long, dry summer. I can't complain too much, especially now that it's becoming fall, which I tend to appreciate fall and spring more so than I do summer, although it's been a great gardening summer, I will say that. So, if you are a returning viewer, thanks for returning, and if you're a new viewer, welcome, and I hope you enjoy the content. So generally what I do is first I talk about my knitting, and then I talk about my horsemanship journey. So today I have two finished objects for you. I am wearing one of them. This is the, let me see if I can move the camera back without disturbing things too much. This is the rocket tee, which I held fingering and mohair together. Normally this is a alternating stripes, but instead of doing that, so alternating stripes of fingering and mohair. So instead of that, I just held it double and put a purl ridge instead of the stripes. It's a V-neck. It's a little bit big. I blocked it. I think I might have to throw it in the washing machine to tighten it up a little bit. Mohair is a little bit itchy for me, so I will probably always wear a tank top, even though I don't think it was necessarily designed for that. What did I do with the pattern? Again, this is Rocket Tee by Tanis Fiber Arts. So I will show it to you by Tanis Lavalee. Here it is. So you can see in the picture, she just has it on. This is repurposed yarn. The fingering is a Cascade 220, which was in a Ghost Horses failed attempt, and then I knitted into another rocket tee using the mohair as an alternating stripe. I didn't really care for it that way, and a friend of mine had done it with the purl ridge as a stripe. So I'm trying to decide where I want the camera. So maybe that's a little bit better. So I ripped it out and redid it. I did make it a size smaller, but it still ended up too big. I should have counted my gauge earlier, but I didn't do that. So I have a couple of options. The side seam, as you can see, is kind of this lace. I could certainly kind of fold it in and crochet it together to make it more fitted. I could possibly do something with the neckline a little bit, but like I said, mohair is a little bit itchy, so I'm always going to wear a tank top under it anyway. Needle size was US 5. The bottom edge is an I-cord bind off. It's supposed to have an I-cord bind off for all of them, but I thought I was going to run out of yarn, so I did a crochet bind off edge around the neckline, and then a I think it's called a Russian lace bind off at the sleeves. So not quite as bulky as the I-cord bind off. So those are the modifications I made. I can't remember when I started it, but I've had this on the needles for a couple months at least. Okay, that's finished object number 1. Finished object number 2 is, this is a September strike along. So these socks, these are K. Jones lattice socks, and I use self-striping yarn, Freckled Whimsy out of the, I have the label right here. So it is her Serendipity spells and things, and this is Fancy Flyer. So in other words, Hedwig. I tend to like my socks a little bit on the short side, And I tend to make the small size because I have kind of long, skinny feet. This is the contrast color with a K's butterfly heel. It's okay. I prefer the heel flap and gusset, so I will probably do that in all future ones. I do like her umbrella toe. So this was the K. Jones September Stripe Along Bakery Bears, and I have enough. I think this is 50. It's over 50 grams, not by a lot, but I guess 56 grams. And then of the contrast color, 10 grams. So I could certainly make another pair of that size, of that, yeah, length. Length? Yes, yeah. And I like it to come up just like right below my calf. That's my preference. So that's my finished objects. Can you believe it? It's been weeks since I have had any finished objects. Forgot to mention the date. Today is September 17th, 2023. Yeah, that's, if you're new to this, I tend to record about every other week. Sometimes it's every third week, depending on what's going on. Some kitty shenanigans going on above. Yeah. So I could talk about my works in progress. This is it's a Creabea pattern. It's a cardigan. It's the Corran cardigan. I didn't use the recommended yarn or the recommended needle size. So the suggested needles are 5mm and 4mm. I misread that as US 5. I'm actually glad that I did, because the yarn that I'm using, I'm trying to look for what the recommended yarn is. DK or worsted weight. I picked a cotton yarn that I have, and I think it's going to, I checked my gauge and it's going to be spot on. So I'm glad I misread it. I'm glad I used different yarn. Again, this is a cardigan. So this is this kind of cool stitch pattern. I think this is going to be a nice kind of summer 3-season cardigan. Quite a lot of ribbing. And so I'm in the middle of a row, which doesn't make it very convenient to show it. But hopefully you can see this. So, and then once I finish it, I will decide, because it's cotton, I think it's going to be, I'll see whether I need a button band or not, or whether I can just sew buttons on one side and just shove them through the gaps. So yeah, I think I cast this on one of the trips that I took over the summer, because I like to do, it must have been the August trip, so the beginning of August. I made a mistake and the rows were off, so the pattern looked funny, so I ended up ripping it out and re-knitting it, and this time it's going much better. It's in a bag my mom made for me for my birthday, just simple drawstring bag, which I prefer over zippers so I don't get the yarn caught, and it's got a nice purple lining. I don't know what those cats are doing, but it's making me suspicious. Oh, there's a bathroom upstairs, and Harley, one of the cats, likes to open the drawers of the vanity. So that is what's happening. Works in whip number 2 is the Misurina. This is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. You see that okay? This is a fingering weight. Let's see what kind of yarn it is. I think it's fingering. So this sweater is designed to have quite a lot of ease. I didn't put the pages of the pattern in the right order, so that just makes it a little inconvenient. for finding what I am looking for. So it's very size inclusive. Okay. Yeah, it is a top-down yoke pattern, has lace and cables and color work. It is a fingering weight yarn. The needle size, US 2 for the ribbing, and the main needle size is the US 4. I checked my gauge. My gauge is, I have more stitches in per inch, which I looked it up online, and I can't quite, last night, and I can't quite determine whether this makes sense to me, which means the sweater is going to be bigger. That's fine. I'm knitting one of the smaller sizes, but as I said, I'm trying to find what the recommended ease is. Because I learned, I was watching Fiber Tales yesterday. It just popped up. Apparently there was an episode I hadn't watched. And she knit a Caitlin Hunter design that was designed to have quite a bit of positive ease, and she made it more fitted. What it turned out is that it was quite snug, and she could hardly lift her arms. I mean, it fit, but it was quite snug, and it was more like wearing a straitjacket, and she was going to give it to her daughter when her daughter got old enough. Like I said, this is a, the sizes are 28 inch to 66 inch bust, so 71 to 168 centimeters. And it said the sample pictured on the cover is a size 2 worn with 6 inches of positive ease. So all that to say, my gauge being what it is, hopefully what I read on the internet was correct in that because I have more stitches per inch, it is going to be larger, because I was trying to make it more fitted, because as you can see, you know, my kind of complaints about the one I'm wearing, there's just too much positive ease, and I don't like it. I don't know, I like things a little bit loose, but not too baggy. Okay, this sweater's designed to fit with 6 to 9 inches of positive ease at the bust. And it says knitters with larger busts may wish to add length. So I may end up trying this on at some point when I get done with the color work section, the yoke color work section, although I think there is a little bit past the color work. I think there is more yoke that needs to be done, but I will figure that out and see whether I need to add more to it or not. Anyway, that was all the pattern stuff. Here's what it looks like. Let me see if I can figure out based on the short rows. Okay, here is the front. Yeah, you can kind of see. So this is where the cables are, and then it goes into the color work section, and then there's more cabling between each panel. So let me see if I can show this a little bit better. So hopefully this is, I mean, I feel good about the way the neckline's going to feel. That's definitely going to be right on. Hopefully the shoulders are going to be big enough. Well, the sample's on a hanger, so that doesn't help. There is a picture of someone wearing it. I'm using Brooklyn tweed yarn. Not sure I'm crazy about it. Well, this is a schematic of someone wearing it, so this is what it's supposed to look like on. Not sure if I'm crazy about Brooklyn tweed, but I did order a bunch more for another project, so I guess I hope I look. Oh, here's one. Here's one of a real person wearing it. So hopefully that you can see that. So I may have to think about this a little bit. It looks like one of the panels goes right down into the armpit, and there's a panel on each arm, and then in this particular one there's 3 panels between you know, across the chest. So that is Misurina. I haven't always had good luck with Caitlin Hunter patterns, but I love her design, so I keep persisting. Okay, I'm just trying to get back to my page because I am like 4 rows from finishing the color work part. So the yarn is, like I said, Brooklyn Tweed. The main color is Goldfinch. And then the contrast color is Hollyhock. And this is the Tones Light yarn. I bought it on sale last year because they were offering a charity, like a certain amount of the proceeds were going to a charity. I think it was a literacy charity, although I don't recall specifically now. Something that I support. Okay, and my final whip. This is something I was working on, I know I was working on it in June, and then I got stuck. It's from this book, Sock Knitting Masterclass by Ann Budd. The pattern is this nifty toe-up half-stranded socks. So do this without, here it is, half-stranded socks. But the design is by Anna Zilboorg. So I finished one. It's a little bit big. It's almost more like a slipper. And the heel is a little bit voluminous. So I don't know. This gray yarn might be superwash. I know the gold, the contrast color is 100% wool. The gray is a sock yarn. It is a yarn that I got in Wisconsin. Wisco sock. It is a superwash. 80% merino, 20% nylon, and it was from Utopia, a yarn store in Berroco, Wisconsin, which is where I went with my mom and my sister last year. So the contrast color is ultra wool, a Berroco, 100%. So this is as far as I am on the second sock. So just started the foot. So I finished the toe. So what you do is you knit this band, and it's 4 stitches across, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, for a prescribed amount of time. And then there's this little toe section here where you join it together, and then you start the color work and continue joining this toe band. And then this ends up being, the gold contrast color ends up being this stripe that goes, there we go, I think that's better lighting, that goes up the side, the whole length of the sock. So yeah, that's where I am with that. So now that I have just 3 projects on the needles, I'm much happier. With 5, it's just too much, and I don't have enough time to knit during the day to work on more than 3 projects. Typically what I do is I knit first thing in the morning before I go to work. I go to work at 6, and but the alarm goes off at 4, so I get up and make myself a cup of tea, and I knit for usually about an hour, and then I have to go out and feed horses, or I'll go to work a little bit early this time of year so that I can feed the horses in the daylight. And then I have, so that's the sock project I'm working on. I have either lunchtime knitting or Zoom meeting knitting, and that's the cardigan, the Creabea Corran cardigan. And then at night I'm working while I'm watching, TV, unwinding for the day. I'm working on the Misurina. I have a couple projects coming up. So October is fun because there is Sockaween. The Bakery Bear. I'm not sure if I'm going to do Sockaween this year. I may have mentioned I'm getting kind of tired of knitting socks. So I am going to do a mystery knit along with a Polka Dot Creek Advent. Is that what you call it in October? I'm not sure, but it's a Polka Dot Creek fall Advent that I'm going to knit. And I did not grab that, so I will talk about that next time. And it could be October by then. So maybe I will have started. The only bummer part of it is that all the little, the minis are all wrapped up, and I'm gonna have to see if the, like day 1 and day 2, for instance, are gonna work as the paired colors. It is a color work cowl that is the mystery knit along. It's not a pattern designer that I've ever knit anything before, so I'm not sure about it. But a friend of mine's doing it, and I thought, oh, what a great idea! What a great way to use those that October Advent. So many of you are probably knitting the Stephen West Mystery Cowl, his Geo Gradient. These are my yarns. I bought this yarn at a trunk show last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't remember. And it is, who is it? It's a hand-dyed yarn. Trying to get the label out without unwinding it. Here's the label. The color is Aliens. It's a Super Rush Merino, 75-25, 100 grams is 437 yards. Jada Woo? That's kind of what it looks like to me. So I talked to her, but it was like 2 weeks ago, so now I don't remember. So yeah, Aliens. That's probably going to be the third darkest color. This is a yarn I had in my stash, Angelic. It's 100% merino. It's machine washable. Elegant Yarns, Dye Lot 003. Color F813. So this and this. And then I have these two. This was a legacy yarn, meaning that this was a yarn that was gifted to me by my partner's Aunt Gail, who is a knitter, and she was asked to go check out a sister of a friend's stash, because that person who had this stash has dementia and was going into memory care, and something needed to be done with the yarn. So it's beautiful yarn. This is Lolo did it. It's Hippo for St. Patty's 2019. So I thought I would put this in the shawl. So is it going to go like this? I don't know. This is Knitivity's Fiddle Bits sock, 75% superwash Corriedale and 25% nylon. This is number 782. So, and I have Knitivity's website in my show notes. So I'm kind of thinking this order. Oh, well. Okay, sorry, my phone went into low battery, so I'm kind of thinking this order. Sorry, it's dark in here. But with the legacy yarn, the Fiddle Bits, the Jada Woo, and then this Angelic is what I am thinking for the Mr. Cow. Looking forward to it. So that is the yarn, and I am yammering on. Oh, my bag. I got this bag yesterday. This is Warm Beach Christian Camp Horsemanship Program. I volunteer there. I was doing their Pony Club course, or Pony Club program, just helping the trainer set up jumps and stuff like that. But the time didn't work out for me, so I am now helping out with they're not tiny tots, they are very young, 4 or 5, I don't know. I don't have kids, so I don't necessarily know that much about, it's hard for me to judge age. I mean, not in diapers, not still sucking a pacifier or something like that, which, so, but I'm not sure if the student that I was leading the horse for, if she's in school yet. I mean, if she could be in preschool. All that to say, so I go there typically every Saturdays while their sessions are running, and in this particular case, I have to go get the horse. I groom the horse and tack up the horse, and then I lead the horse while the rider rides it, because the riders are very beginning, not, they're learning the basic commands of how to go forward, how to stop, which are both very important. So helping out, and the instructor was very good. He happened to be a substitute instructor this time, but he's quite good, and he offered a lot of games, and I think the kids really enjoyed that. There were 3 students. There were supposed to be 4. One of them didn't come for whatever reason. So yeah, that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. So I got this bag because I'm a volunteer, and I thought, oh, what a great knitting bag, which is a great segue into the horsemanship part of my podcast. So what have I been doing? Bragi, my younger Mustang, he is 5 now, and I've been working with my trainer. My trainer comes here, and we have been working together to try to train him to be under saddle. He's a lot more sensitive than my older Mustang, Odin, who I ride. Odin's he's a dream horse. He's absolutely wonderful. I can take him out on the trails by myself if I want to. He's just a wonderful horse. Bragi is from a different herd management area. They're both from Oregon. Odin is from Cold Springs, and Bragi is from Warm Springs. Bragi is much more sensitive and reactive. So it's just been, we've really had to take our time introducing him to things. Well, we've been trying to get him to canter or lope in the round pen, and he's just really dramatic about it. Part of it, the problem is my round pen isn't really round, it's kind of more oval shape. The footing can be kind of hard in places and soft in others. And the other thing is he's a big horse. He's still growing, and I think he just doesn't quite know what to do with his legs. So we decided so it felt like we were just stuck, and we weren't able to move forward. We weren't able to, give him any wins, and it was just really stressful for him, and I was kind of like not really looking forward to it. So what we decided is that we would switch course, and we would train him to get in the trailer and just haul him to a farm up the road that has a wonderful facility with a round pen with a beautiful, beautiful footing. So we have been working on this twice now. So the first time we just brought both Odin and Bragi up to the front of the property where the horse trailer is, and Odin comes up here all the time, but Bragi has not. So we thought, well, let's bring Odin up too to give Bragi some comfort while we try this. And it worked fine. Odin got in the trailer. Bragi, kind of wanted to follow him in because he's very attached to Odin. And then we thought we would work Bragi on his own. We just put Odin on the outside of the trailer and just worked on Bragi getting in. So we got some successes. And then my homework was to just bring Bragi up front to graze. And I was able to do that a couple times, and that went fine, even though it's funny because Randy was, every time that I came up front, Randy has been painting the dormers on our house and the garage, and every time I brought Bragi up, Randy's been on the roof, which is kind of weird. And, Bragi thought so too, but he handled it really well. And then my trainer came on Friday afternoon, like she does pretty much every week. And coincidentally, Randy was on the roof again. But we brought Bragi up by himself. And when I was working with him by myself, I brought Bragi up by myself because I didn't really feel like I could bring up both Odin and Bragi and manage them both. It is a little bit of a distance to the barn, to the front. So we thought that we would just bring Bragi up front, and he's getting a lot more calmer about it, a lot more calmer about being away from Odin. And we definitely had some wins as far as like his introduction of getting into the trailer. Right now he's just putting 2 front feet in, and that's fine. And then yesterday, because I was volunteering at Warm Beach Christian Camp, and then I went up to visit my dad, I didn't have a chance to work with them at all. But this morning I brought Bragi up by himself, and we practiced getting in the trailer. And I think we had a couple of good wins, and he had some grass, and of course Randy was on the roof, because that's what happens. Although I think he's done with that project now, so I think next time, maybe next week when we practice this some more, maybe Randy won't be on the roof. So yeah, that is the horsemanship journey. I was hoping to ride Odin today, but I had a lot of gardening that I wanted to do, and that's totally, it's fine if I miss a week riding Odin. I think I rode him last Friday, and I didn't ride him the day before yesterday because I ended up having to work part of the day because last Tuesday, I got a call from an eye surgeon. My eye doctor, I had a routine eye exam the week before, and my eye doctor noticed during the routine surveillance, noticed a weird spot on the photograph of my eye, and she said, "That looks like a retinal tear to me." And she said, "I'm going to send this to the eye surgeon and mark it urgent." So, and I was kind of expecting a call that day. It was a Friday, but nothing. But the following Monday, Tuesday morning, I got a call. And said, "You need to come in right now." And I was trying to negotiate on a day that I wasn't quite as busy at work. And she said, "No, you need to come in right now. We consider this a medical emergency." I was like, "Oh. Okay, I'll clear my calendar." And so yeah, I went up. I was able to drive myself. They dilate. They do the repair right there in the office using laser, and then I was able to, drive myself home. So I was really happy with the procedure. It's not that comfortable. It wasn't like when I had LASIK surgery, and I was. It went super quick, and I was on my back, and the machine came down and kind of held my eye open, and they did the. But it's probably easier because when you're shaping the lens in LASIK surgery, you're not having to go all the way back to the retina, and so I was sitting up. I had this like kind of big thing. I don't know. It's kind of like a glass egg that was kind of like in part holding my eye open, and then she was lasering. So I did learn something, a lot about the shape of the eye and stuff like that. And people who are nearsighted, and I was very nearsighted, which is why I got the LASIK 7 years ago, have kind of more egg-shaped or elongated eyes, and it kind of can pull on the retina. And then also, when you're a certain age, things just start, they don't work as well as they used to. And so yeah, there is that. I forgot to ask the surgeon, what is the likelihood of this happening again? Maybe in the other eye, maybe in a different spot on my retina in the same eye. It was my left eye. I forgot to ask, mostly because it was such a whirlwind. It was like drop everything and go. And then, have the exam. Everything's all new. I didn't think to ask the question, but I have a follow-up appointment in October, and I will ask them, I hope, if I remember. So that was that. All that to say, I had to work on Friday. Normally I work Monday through Thursday. I work 4/10s, and I often have a chance to ride on Fridays. So I just didn't this time. That's okay. Maybe next Friday. What else is interesting? So I know some podcasters talk about reading and what they're watching on TV. Our TV watching isn't really that interesting. I don't think. We watch AGT. We tend to watch like AGT, The Voice, AGT being America's Got Talent. We watch Alone, and America's Funniest Videos. That's kind of our go-to TV. We don't really watch drama series. I can't stand violence. Randy doesn't like documentaries. So, although we did watch Life in the Blue Zones. It's a Netflix series, and it's about people in different areas of the world who live to be 100. So that was kind of cool. Or live over 100 and live so without too many health problems and without dementia, which is kind of important. So that was good. I can recommend that. And then reading, I am reading Barbara Kingsolver's Demon Copperhead. I'm reading it on my Kindle, and I'm about 40% through it. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning novel. I will say things have started to get better. It was a hard read. Just the foster care system is rough, and anyone who has been in the foster care system or can probably attest to that. I'm not even sure if I've ever known any foster kids growing up. Adopted kids, sure, here and there. I mean, I grew up in a pretty small town, but I don't recall any foster kids necessarily, so I don't really know. But the way that Barbara Kingsolver is able to describe this young boy who is, I think, currently 11 at the stage, the way that she is able to write his voice is pretty remarkable, I think. I mean, some of the conditions that the kids, or that he has grown up in, I mean, I'm certainly familiar with farming, but not in the way that he was made to do hard labor and stuff like that. I mean, I grew up on a farm, and, you know, we certainly had our expected chores, which, Mom, if you're listening, you'll know that I kind of appreciate that structure, because both my sister and I are very hard workers. So, but there is definitely a fine line between providing, you know, being a good parent about the responsibilities when you're growing up, and having that system of reward for your hard work, and when it crosses over into abuse. I think my parents did that beautifully. The example in the foster care in this book, not so much. So if you read it, I hope you persevere. That's my plan. I got some encouragement from a friend of mine who said it gets much better. So I'm gonna take that to the bank. That is all I have. I think my next episode is going to be probably the very end of September, maybe the 1st of October. So I hope you enjoy the last 2 weeks of September, and get lots of your projects done. And if you have animals, I hope you enjoy them very much and appreciate their outlook on life. All right, bye.